seminar about forgiveness, release of guilt, and the arrival of the presence of God. Because as beings cannot forgive themselves, they will fill themselves about forgiveness, release of guilt, and the arrival of the presence of God. Because as beings cannot forgive themselves, they will fill themselves about forgiveness, release of guilt, and the arrival of the presence of God. Because as beings cannot forgive themselves, they will fill themselves about forgiveness, release of guilt, and the arrival of the presence of God. Because as beings cannot forgive themselves, they will fill themselves about forgiveness, release of guilt, and the arrival of the presence of God. Because as beings cannot forgive themselves, they will fill themselves about forgiveness, release of guilt, and the earth is going to be in a world of hurt.
So that forgiveness seminar then is
release of guilt and the arrival of the presence of God. Because as the earth is going to be in a world forgive themselves, they will fill themselves with the heavy metals of release of guilt and aluminum and the arrival of the presence of God and other dark. Because as the earth is going to be in a world forgive themselves, they will fill themselves with the heavy metals of release of guilt and aluminum and the arrival of the presence of God and other dark. Because as the earth is going to be in a world forgive themselves, they will fill themselves with the heavy metals of
Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Built-in speakers. Hello. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Hopefully that works. Nice. Built-in speakers. Okie dokie, cool. All right, so now it's working. Let me go back to this thing. So this is like a recording that I did with a girl I used to be friends with along like last year. Most of you knew her. Those of you that don't need to. And the I was editing kind of like all the stuff with her out, but it's just me and my dad asking questions, and then she was channeling the energy that I was channeling, and we were kind of like bouncing back and forth. information. And let me see here. I had it in iMovie because I wanted to edit it, but I'm just going to start at the beginning and play, and then I'm going to edit out certain parts.
So you've been trying to connect to the past.
Oh, is that what I'm talking about?
Are connected still to that earth that is dead. Those are them trying to pull up those missing pieces and those fragments of them. So you are saying it to them. You're speaking to them in the words that they can understand and the words that they can hear. Because yes, we understand that one cannot understand the grasping of.
It's like a 2-hour recording.
Your earth no longer exists.
How about a creation? Instead of calling Earth a planet, why don't we call that like a frame of time? They said that's okay. Okay, so if we call the old Earth the past, and we call the new Earth the present. No. No, this is not the present. It's the now. Oh, we were laughing so hard the other day because the present and the now are not the same time. The present is 3 days ago. The now is
really.
So like the only way to be, and then Jeff played the Meatballs, Spaceballs movie for us, and they were like talking about the now and the present and the here and the now and the, you just missed it. I'll show it to you after we're done. But they're saying, so what's the whole key, Jesus? Because if we get all specific about stuff, he says it's very important that Joe's mind be opened to all of the things that he is learning at this time. But when the poles shift, when the planets change, people change. For you all are all affected by the planets. This is astrology. This is something that people have taken and simplified very much so into, oh, I'm a Cancer. But what does that mean, really? It means there's nodal points, there's different degrees where the moon, the sun, the planets were all facing when one was born. This is an imprint or a stamp upon the consciousness when it first enters into this celestial body.
That's interesting.
That you call Earth. But what you can understand and what you can see is that if beings begin to enjoy this earth physically, like you, Joe, when you go down, you enjoy the beach, you look around, you see the sky, you see the birds, you see all of that which is around you that is creation, you're experiencing the real earth. When one looks through the eyes of deception, eyes of fear, eyes of anger, very important that Joe's mind be opened to all of the things that he is learning at this time. For when the poles shift, when the planets change, people change. For you all are all affected by the planets. This is astrology. This is something that people have taken and simplified very much so into, oh, I'm a Cancer. But what does that mean, really? It means there's nodal points, there's different degrees where the moon, the sun, the planets were all facing when one was born. This is an imprint or a stamp upon the consciousness when it first enters into this celestial body. Upon the consciousness when it first enters points, there's different into, oh, I'm a Cancer. Old Earth, the past, and we call the new Earth the present. No.
I heard no.
And the now are not the same time. The present is Spaceballs movie for us, and they were like talking about the now and what's the whole key, Jesus? Because if we get all specific about stuff, he said, specific about what's the whole key. So what's the whole key, Jesus? Because if we get all specific about stuff, he says it's very important that Joe's mind be opened to all of the things that he is learning at this time. For when the poles shift, when the planets change, people change. For you all are all affected by the planets. This is astrology. This is something that people have taken and simplified very much so into, oh, I'm a Cancer. But what does that mean, really? It means there's nodal points, there's different degrees where the moon, the sun, the planets were all facing when one was born. This is an imprint or a stamp upon the consciousness when it first enters into this celestial body that you call Earth. For what you can understand and what you can see is that if beings begin to enjoy this Earth physically, like you, Joe, when you go to what you can see is that if being, this is an imprint or a stamp upon the consciousness when it first enters into this celestial body that you call Earth. It's very important that Joe's mind isn't. Why don't we call that like a frame of time?
Speaking to them in the words that they can understand and the words that they can hear. Because yes, we understand that one cannot understand the grasping of your Earth died. Your Earth no longer exists.
How about a creation? Instead of calling Earth a planet, why don't we call that like a frame of time? Very important that the three of you document the shifts and the changes that you're feeling and seeing now, because just as the books that we wrote were taken off the market when they were most needed,
Ouch.
we have now caused them to go back on the market. But it is like writing about 2012 in 2013. However, what this channel does not understand, what none of you understand, is that everyone is stuck in the old earth. So for those who have ascended, for those that understand the presence of God, who feel the presence of God, who understand the Father, who know their I am inside, who know the body of Christ, who know forgiveness, those are the ones that are going to be infected or affected. Affected. Mary goes, affected, not infected. That are going to be infected or affected. Mary goes, affected, not infected. Affected by the return of the frequency of forgiveness. So just as the white horse, so to speak, came in with the frequency of peace, things will be shifting into the frequency of forgiveness. Many people will feel guilt because of this, because somebody will forgive them, but if they don't have the love of God within them, they will feel guilty. So at this time, we are swapping out many of the souls. Many souls are being swapped. Many souls are being merged. Many higher selves are taking possession of the physical bodies in which the souls created, because they do not want a physical body to go to waste when there can be boots on the ground to lead these soldiers, there's SOULDIERS, soldiers into action. For we are working on bringing the fallen soul groups back and reviving them in a resurrection event that will happen in approximately 2 weeks and 7 days. Soldiers into action. For we are, when there can be boots on the ground to lead these soldiers, there's SOULDIERS, soldiers into action. For we are working on bringing the fallen soul groups back and reviving them in a resurrection event that will happen in approximately 2 weeks. And
Were those anyone that's been at class? Were those the baby souls that they said came in? I bet you they were.
7 days. That's 8 weeks.
Is that the event that we were supposed? Is that the? Because remember originally we were going to do.
Been in approximately 2 weeks and 7 days. That's event that will happen in approximately 2 weeks and 7 days.
Yeah.
8 weeks.
Is that the event that we're supposed to? Is that the? Because remember, it's his birthday.
When's Jesus' birthday? March 18th. Jesus' birthday, March 18th. When's Jesus' birthday? March 18th. When's Jesus' birthday? March 18th.
Don't know.
That's what they said, right?
We're approaching Easter, but it's all we know is it was in the spring.
I feel like it was April 4th.
I'm looking at. I'm just gonna ask them. Show me the number or the date that you are looking at, or around the same time frame. Looking at, or around the same time frame. March 25th. Is that even a date? Does March go to 25th?
Yeah. Was it 28th, 30th?
Well, it sounds right because Jesus was born when the Roman census was being taken, and the Middle East is very cold. It's very cold, just like our deserts. Like even look how cold Las Vegas got. You know, even it got snow. The Middle East gets very cold in the wintertime, so there's no way people could travel from city to city or to their birthplace to be counted in the census in the wintertime. So it was done in the springtime. And on top of that, the Bible even talks about how the flocks were in the fields at the time of
that religion, that Christ was their Savior as well.
weren't in the fields in the cold because they were brought in. So he was born in the spring, and the only reason that we, as we've mentioned before, the only reason that the Stoics used to celebrate the birth of I've forgotten this.
And the Stoics had churches all over the Middle East. And then Paul eventually took them all over and they became Christian because the founder of that particular faith
was also resurrected. So he was similar to Christ, and so
That's gonna bug
it
me.
was very easy to convince that religion that Christ was their Savior as well. And so Paul ended up taking Thras. Something Thras.
Hort-
Mithras.
Mithras, yeah.
What was that?
Mithras
It has horns.
I know. I don't like it. Does not seem good.
It looks like a bullhead.
It looks really bad.
It's a hogwart.
Mithras
Exactly the same.
was the equivalent of Christ to the Stoics.
It's not right.
He had a legend about him, about he was resurrected and he had powers to heal, and they were awaiting something Thras. Mithras.
Yeah.
What was that?
Mithras was
It has horns.
I know. I don't like it. Does not seem good.
It looks like a bullhead.
It looks really bad.
It's a hogwart.
Mithras
Exactly the same.
was the equivalent of Christ to the Stoics.
It's not right.
He had a legend about him, about he was resurrected, and when Jesus had come to earth. So all those temples became Christian. They were awaiting Mithras's return when Jesus had come to earth. So all those temples became Christian eventually. But the Romans, it was a Roman deal, somewhere
and the
between the
4th.
18th and the 25th, maybe.
April 4th is like feels like they're saying it's like the birth of the birth of a Christ takes an entire moon cycle,
Uh-huh.
and in that the Immaculate Conception brings forth the consciousness, and it hereby has to sit within the moon.
Yeah, I can't imagine him being born during a full moon. He must have been born in a new moon because of the stars that were so bright that the three wise men followed to find him. So
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask Papa. Ask him about. I just popped out. Ask him about the frankincense and the myrrh and the gold when he was born. Hold on, let me go back in because my mind's gonna get involved. I'm just gonna leave completely because I've been able to heal people with the frankincense, the myrrh, and the gold.
Those were the most treasured possessions in those days.
Oh, they
Very,
were?
very, very expensive. Yeah, it was very, very expensive. I mean, if there were three gifts that could be given away that had meaning behind it, would be frankincense, myrrh, and gold. So,
I wonder why myrrh was so expensive.
so little of it at the time.
It smells really good. I just smelled it. I can smell it, and then it says the gold is grounding. So the gold grounds you. The myrrh fills what you would call your essence, and the
So little of it at the time.
it smells really good. I just smelled it. I can smell it, and then it says the gold is grounding. So the gold grounds you.
That's
Is the ascension.
ascension.
So it's sort of like a precursor to
Wow.
his ascension.
So I just saw the myrrh go in to, because remember I could shoot the myrrh out of my middle finger. And feel if I put it on my dad, it goes all around him like a big bubble. He's in a huge version of my dad, and he's like, you can't get me with myrrh. Like the myrrh can only affect those that are in physicality. And then when I shoot it over both of us, it goes straight to the bottom of our leg. Look, it goes through us right here.
It's like the first. It's like the first.
It's the first step of ascension. It's a sticky like substance is what I'm seeing, and it's the myrrh is what gathers up all of the guilt and shame and fear in others. The frankincense dissolves it, and then the gold, in a sense, refills those areas so they cannot be filled in. The neural pathways within the brain cannot be filled back in with the same guilt, shame, and fear. And this travels within beings throughout lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. For you can ask how much gold is within a being's consciousness and how much heavy metals are within the consciousness. The heavier the metals, the more the consciousness is pulled down into this place that we call earth, but many would call hell. And the metals, the more the consciousness is pulled down into this place that we call earth.
Yeah, it was very, very expensive. I mean, it was in those days.
Oh, they
Very,
were?
very, very expensive. Wiseman followed to find him. So,
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask Papa. Ask him about, I just popped out. Ask him about the frankincense. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask Papa. Ask him about, I just popped out. Ask him.
that the three wise men followed to find him.
How much gold is within a being's consciousness and how much heavy metals are within the consciousness. The heavier the metals, the more the consciousness is pulled down into this place that we call earth, but many would call hell. And the gold is much lighter and ends up being more like a plastic-like substance that is not pulled into a magnet. So gold must not be magnetic, huh?
No, it's not.
It's not? Okay, yeah, because they're saying the more gold one has within their consciousness, the more they will not ever go to hell. They've come down here to be like your gold, Papa. Isn't he gold? He doesn't have any silver in him anymore. He's got like a speck of silver.
Like
And it's just the
like
cord he has attached, like a speck of silver.
Like
And it's just to be like your gold, Papa. Isn't he? I'm half silver, half gold.
I am. I can't see myself.
You're gold with a thing of silver on you. Why am I half silver, half gold?
'Cause you
I'm
have
sure people change over time. And I guess the amount of gold that would be considered within them comes from wisdom.
Oh, what they're saying is gold. Another for crimes against the ability to forgive another. Gold is the ability to forgive another for crimes against them. The reason why this channel is seeing, oh, that's not me, I was in the channel. The reason why the channel is seeing half silver, half gold is because the channel is half silver and half gold. The channel in which she channels is that which is Christ, and Christ is an antichrist and a Christ. Or if she enters into and onto this channel, silver, half gold.
there.
I think Drew has a little bit of silver. I'm sure this is running good. Okay.
He has 3 specs.
I'm half silver, half gold.
I am.
Or have cold. Pretty good. Okay.
He has 3 specs.
I'm half silver, half gold.
Comes from wisdom.
Oh, what they're saying. Oh, that's not me. I was in the channel. Christ is an antichrist and a Christ. For if she enters into and onto this channel in which this tube of light, so to speak, that she calls it, and channels this, if she was in anger, she would be channeling the antichrist.
Ooh, it's like ash.
This is why it's very important that individuals understand that they can be Christ-like, but if they enter into and unto prayer in anger, they are praying to the antichrist. Many Christians will say, oh, I believe in Christ, so everything's good. That's not the case. So what we would like for the 3 of you to teach in some form of a seminar, and this is why we have brought the 3 of you together. That's not the case. So what we That's not the case. So what we would like for the 3 of you to teach in some form of a seminar, and this is why we have brought the 3 of you together today. It's a forgiveness seminar about forgiveness, release of guilt, and the arrival of the presence of God. Because as beings cannot forgive themselves, they will fill themselves with the heavy metals of mercury, tin, aluminum, and other dark matter. And this will weigh them down, and many people will die in a few weeks' time. Nobody that you guys know is going to die. Do not worry. We already heard your minds. Understand that some have been affected. Oh, Aunt Goga. Has been affected. She's going to be fine, though.
That would be good.
Oh, Aunt Goga. Has been affected. She's going to be fine, though.
That would be good.
Is there spirits? Because I can literally see the ones that are switching spirits right now, and it's like the bad.
Some have been affected. Has been affected. She's going to be fine, though.
That would be good.
Is there spirits? Because I can literally see the ones that are switching spirits right now, and it's like the bad, or I don't want to call them bad, but that spirit that's leaving is literally fighting the spirit that's coming in.
I see your old.
Fighting the spirit that's coming in.
I see. She's like slapping them, and your new spirit's like. In 3 weeks, the earth is going to be in a world of hurt. is the reality we're living in now. However, that some have been affected. And like stepped into Isabel. Isabel got swapped, or no, you got merged. She got
So that forgiveness seminar then is
in like a week.
it's like now. I heard it's now.
Like we have to do it like now.
Yeah, I never did it.
Extravaganza. You've been wanting, like this is your son. You even feel guilty of some. This is your. You even feel guilty if somebody gets in a car accident after they leave your house because you didn't hold them there longer or tell them to leave sooner. You find a way to blame it on yourself. So this will not only heal the three of you for this channel, or as we like to refer to her lately, Marissa.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So, what? Okay, never mind. I'm not going to make this about me. I'm like, huh? You can tell me. Muck in the grime, and one is so submerged and hanging quite literally. So when one is so submerged, understand that some have been affected. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to make this about me. I'm like, huh? You can tell me later. Ask him and then tell me later. Okay, so when one is so submerged in the muck, in the grime, so when one is so submerged in the muck, in the grime, and one is so submerged and hanging quite literally from their brain down into their intestines or their stomach or their liver or their kidneys, when one is submerged into their actual organs, they cannot see anything. They are blind. And that's the reason for many people's knees, worries, regrets, things of this sort. However, there's a big difference between physically being there because one has fallen from grace, and one thinking that they're there because they feel guilty about something, so they create almost an alternate reality that they fall into. So it's actually going to be much easier to save many of these individuals than you would think it would be. All they must do is step back into their real self and allow grace in and turn over their will and life to that which is the presence of God, that they will feel. So the most important thing about this class will be the experience. So it's not going to necessarily be as much talking than allowing people to experience it. You can not going to necessarily be as much talking than allowing people to the presence of God, that they will feel. So the most important thing about this class will be the experience. So it's not going to necessarily be as much talking than allowing people to experience it. Talking than allowing people to experience it. And turn over their will and life to that which is the presence of God, that they will feel. So the most important thing about this class will be the experience. So it's not going to necessarily be as much talking. Class using the parable cards. You can market the class with a daily video telling people about it. We do not want to make it free, but experience it. You can market the class using the parable, but we'll make it inexpensive for people to attend, like $50, and it'll in. Is that it? 3 or is it 4? It's 3, huh? Is it a 3-day event, or is it like 2 hours each day? It's 3, huh? Is it a 3-day event, or is it's like 2 hours each day? Take.
Well, resurrection.
How's that? Last day is the first day. So the first day is actually forgiveness.
They say 3 days. In 3 days, Christ was raised, but they count the day that he died as the first day, instead of going 24 hours later as the first day. So he died on a Friday. He was raised on a Sunday, which they consider the third day. So they counted Friday as a day, Saturday as a day, and they counted Sunday as a day.
Oh.
So he was raised on the third day.
I do know, like, you're correct, because I mean, that's what the Bible teaches, but I'm just looking at him, and I keep hearing, no, I was raised on Monday.
Died on Thursday.
No, that would be beyond 3 days. The Jewish faith still, Jewish and the Islamic faith, require all bodies to be buried within 3 days. They can't after.
I just
death,
heard the embalming is 3 days.
whatever.
Oh gosh, I keep falling asleep. Okay. I need to take a break. Hopefully you guys were able to hear that. I don't know if you guys have. We're doing class, and maybe that's why I'm falling asleep. Is it class time? Maybe it is.